Exodus 1, aka Indigo Sky, aka Trigger Ranking. So basically, this video right here, this gonna be the elephant in the room joint. We're gonna freestyle for a little while. You know what I'm saying? To see what's going on with the world. See what we got going on. Y'all, if y'all checking in, man, y'all hit the like button, like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. Hold on one second, everybody. Alright, and we back. So yeah, man, Elephant in the Room podcast, man. We about to talk about it's so much stuff to talk about, man. So, first off, I want to give a hefty congratulations to Kendrick Lamar. He's part of the 60 Week Club. It's only 11 other American artists that has done this on the charts. A couple of them, I'm sure you guys know. We'll start out with Pink Floyd. We'll go with Bob Marley and definitely Michael Jackson. So part of the 60 Week Club. Kendrick has been, you know what I'm saying, making moves. He has been incorporated with one of the largest commercial deals with Gatorade. So that's coming. He got a lot of stuff coming. Yeah, so yeah, let me see if I got this stuff started. Get it cracking.
Power on. Bluetooth hearing. Bluetooth connected.
Alright, let's see what's going on here. What's up? Y'all ain't here, hit the like button, man. Yeah, we about to do this, I don't think I'm gonna do the Trap Lord Ross yet. Hold on, y'all. I don't think I'm gonna do Trap Lord Ross just yet. Let me see. We'll do that Lil Durk joint.
Superstar Lil Durk locked up right now, accused of ordering a hit on a rival rapper, but his defense says the government's only proof that Durk was involved is based on a random video they found.
This long crime, y'all.
On YouTube. And now they brought in music producers who work with Durk, and it might just blow up the whole case.
So they saying this shit gonna blow up the whole case. They trying to use the lyrics like thugs.
Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse. Did Chicago rapper Dirk Banks, also known as Lil Durk, orchestrate a murder for hire plot against Quando Rondo that ended with the rival's cousin dead and multiple people caught up in the conspiracy? Well, that's what the government's alleging, and they point to Durk's own song lyrics as proof of his alleged actions. That's what we want to focus on.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you.
There is a big problem with that. That Durk recorded
Got it from the gas station.
those lyrics months before the alleged murder for hire.
I'm about to roll on one too. I'm about to roll on one of these
predict the future, there's really no way they could be about this killing, about this alleged murder. So Durk's team has filed a motion to dismiss the federal indictment against him, or at the very least, release information about what the government showed the grand jury to support the charges in this case. The motion reads, quote, Defendant Dirk Banks, through his counsel of record, moves the court to dismiss the superseding indictment against him in this matter. In the alternative, he moved...
Okay, so let me tell y'all something real crazy. So, Dirk and Youngboy was beefing against each other. I don't know if y'all know this, but the same lawyer who helped NBA Youngboy get you know, the time that he got, which was great move. After he left Youngboy, now he working with Lil Durk. This is crazy, man. Like, So basically, the rappers, they beefing against each other. They basically losing at the end of the game, but the lawyer is winning. Like, what you think about this? Like, y'all might as well just stop beefing, form like Voltron, and get some money together instead of fighting against each other and actually having to pay the same lawyer. The lawyer just sitting there like Birdman, like, yeah, y'all keep doing what y'all doing. Yeah. Keep arguing. Keep doing what you're doing. We like that. We like that. Because once you get in trouble, you're gonna have to call me, and basically I'm gonna be the one that gotta get you out. So yeah, let's keep listening, y'all. Keep listening to what they talking about with Dirk.
Moves to compel disclosure of the grand jury minutes and evidence the government presented to the grand jury. Now, before we dive into the juicy details of this filing, I do want to give you just a quick history on how we got here, in case you're not familiar with it. So, after the death of his friend King Von back in 2020, Dirk reportedly put out a hit on Quando Rondo, a rival rapper in Georgia that Dirk allegedly believed was the instigator behind his friend being killed. So prosecutors say in 2022, Dirk found out that Rondo was going to...
Hold on, y'all. Okay, this fair use. This one I'm using this, but this long crime. Check it out, though. Quando didn't incite that. Somebody woke King Von up out of his sleep and told him that, hey man, Quando out there. And Quando got up in a fit of rage and ran towards this man and started beating this man up. So it was really King Von's fault of why he passed away, because if he didn't do that, he probably still would be alive today. Might be in a RICO with Moop and all them behind FBG Duck, but at the end of the day, he probably still would have been alive.
In Los Angeles. So he allegedly organized members of his crew, a rap collective called Only the Family, or OTF, to travel to Southern California and target Rondo. And the government claims that OTF is a criminal enterprise that is engaged in violence, including murder and assault. Investigators believe that Dirk's right-hand man, Kevon Grant, was the one who secured the cars, the hotel rooms, and the guns for this assassination of Rondo. An October 2024 indictment accused multiple defendants of following Quando Rondo's black Escalade.
I ain't got premium, y'all. Hold on.
Around LA on August 19th of 2022. In fact, traffic camera photos show a white Infiniti following the SUV until it pulls into a gas station. And the filing also apparently includes surveillance photos of the suspects.
Now I'm gonna tell y'all the craziest thing. They did this in one of the most busiest, like high-end areas. Like, so where FBG Duck got unalived was a very high-end area in Chicago called the Gold Coast. That's where he was shopping at when they caught him and unalived him. Now, come back around when they hit Lil Pop.
To fire gun.
It's the same thing. Y'all do this in the Beverly Center, where it's like this is the most high-end part of California, like where Beverly Hills and all this stuff is at.
Toward the gas pumps. Yeah, not a great idea. At least 18 rounds were fired at the car in broad daylight, including, apparently, a machine gun. Remember, during a busy afternoon at a gas station. This is a blatant attack. Now, Quando Rondo actually wasn't hurt in the shooting, but it turns out, in a sad turn of events, his cousin, Sabai Robinson, referred to as SR in court documents, was killed. When the indictment against several people, including Kevon Grant, came down in federal court, Dirk wasn't even named as a defendant yet. Rather, he was an alleged collaborator identified as co-conspirator 1. However, in a superseding indictment a few weeks later, that is when Dirk was added officially as a named defendant and was charged with conspiracy and use of interstate facilities to commit murder for hire resulting in death, and use, carry, and discharge of firearms and a machine gun in furtherance of a crime of violence resulting in death. And while Dirk isn't actually accused of being at the Beverly Hills gas station when this apparent shooting happened, prosecutors say He was the one who called for the hit. He was the one who ordered it. He helped facilitate travel to Los Angeles, and he paid the men who actually did the shooting. Prosecutors allege that Dirk texted a co-conspirator, "Don't book no flights under no names involved with me." But since that time, Dirk offered a substantial bail package to get pretrial detention. The judge denied it. He has maintained his innocence, and now his lawyers are arguing this whole case against him needs to be tossed out. And it all relates back to rap lyrics sung by Dirk as a feature on a song by another artist, Babyface Ray. And the prosecution claims that Dirk rapped about Savia Robinson's death, commercializing his alleged revenge. So here are the lyrics that the prosecution is talking about. Quote, "Told me they got an addy, go, go. Got location, go, go. Green light, go, 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 go. Look on the news and see your son, you screaming no, no." Now, prosecutors seem to claim that the no, no part comes from when Quando Rondo was apparently screaming no, no when his cousin was shot. And they reference how the song allegedly has audio of Rondo screaming that, reportedly taken from news footage. But the defense says that couldn't be farther.
The craziest thing is that song that they are talking about, is basically older than what happened. But when they put the song out, they added the part to where Quando was screaming or whatever. So that was a dumb move just to even put that on there, period.
From the truth. All right, so to talk about this, I want to bring on civil rights attorney Joe Richardson, who I'm so happy to see. I haven't seen Joe in quite some time. So, Joe, thanks so much for taking the time to come back here on Sidebar. Look at that face. Always smiling, always happy to be on.
Good to see you,
I'm
Jess.
going to talk to you about this because this has been a hot topic over the last couple of years. Can prosecutors take what's said in rap lyrics and song lyrics and use it as a kind of confession? Generally speaking.
Same thing they try to do with Young Thug, y'all. Same thing. And Jay-Z and Meek Mill and all of them, they went up to the courts to try to make it to where, you know, song lyrics cannot be used against you in court because it's like basically artistic expression.
I mean, how does it work? Is it have we seen it a lot in trials? Has it been persuasive?
We've seen it happen quite a bit. I don't know that I'd say it's been persuasive. I think the biggest example we look at is Young Thug down in Atlanta. They took a lot.
This my first time seeing this. Hey, I know something
Of his lyrics, and even though technically speaking, ultimately they got a conviction, he actually walked out on time served. Most of the people that were prosecuted didn't end up being convicted, and I don't think anybody would call that prosecution a successful prosecution. And so, you know, you've got freedom of speech issues. Does it mean that just because I'm saying something in a rap song, and typically it is a rap song, does that mean that I actually did something? And this is an extra interesting twist here because Lil Durk's attorney is saying, well, this song was actually released months before the murder. So he can't say in the past tense that I did something that I hadn't done that hadn't happened several months before. So we're seeing it more and more. I don't know if I'd say it's successful, but it's interesting that they've used this to get a superseding indictment.
Talking legal issues like this, how can I not bring up legal experts, our sponsor, our partner, Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. You know why they're so large? Listen to this. Past few months, Morgan & Morgan secured a $9.3 million verdict for a car crash victim in Florida, $5.6 million verdict for another car accident victim in Atlanta, and not to mention $1.8 million in Kentucky after insurance offered them a mere $5,000 in that case. So look, even if you think your case isn't worth millions of dollars, why not start a claim and fight for what you deserve? Morgan & Morgan makes it so simple. You can start a claim from your phone in just 8 clicks. You don't even have to leave your couch. So if you're injured, you can easily start a claim at forthepeople.com/LC sidebar or click the link in the description and pinned in the comments. Do you know how they typically authenticated a trial? I mean, who do they call to the stand in order to get the lyrics in and you know, say it is what it is? Do you know? I'm just trying to imagine how this might come up at an upcoming federal trial.
Well, there's a couple things, right? First of all, is there actually a reasonable denial that that person can make that they actually got on and did the lyrics, right? So it's going to be
Right.
somebody, I would imagine, from an authentication purpose, somebody that was in the studio, frankly, somebody that they're squeezing that they might know and hear. You've got co-conspirators that have been indicted as well. So it's going to be somebody that was there, as it were, because all other things being equal, Lil Durk's not going to get on the stand and testify against himself because most times people don't. So you're going to authenticate it in kind of regular ways. Someone that would have cause to know that these were the lyrics that were made. Now, it's a separate issue entirely as to whether or not you can authenticate or confirm this is what the lyrics were about. This is what they were talking about.
So yeah, I don't know if y'all know, bro. When you do music, I'm a musician. I do music, sing, rap, produce, all that. I even dabble in video editing and stuff like that too. When you do a project, I don't care if you make a beat, make a song or whatever. When you hit save on it, it's an actual time and date to whatever you save, you know what I'm saying, in your computer, and it'll show the time and the date that whatever you created. Just like any other file, if I was to write a essay or a thesis for a project or something, it's the same thing. Like, yeah, it's definitely the same thing. So, yeah, let's continue on with this.
Here's the backdrop, and all of those other things become subject to cross-examination, etc.
So I want to dive into this motion to dismiss and get into the meat of it. So it reads, quote, "The government presented false evidence to the grand jury that indicted Mr. Banks on November 7, 2024. The plain language of the superseding indictment makes it apparent that the government told the grand jury that Mr. Banks, through specific lyrics in his music, celebrated and profited from a revenge murder that he had ordered, namely that of SR in August of 2022. That claim is demonstrably false. The song the government relied upon as evidence against Mr. Banks, Wonderful Wayne and Jackie Boy, a song that was recorded by another artist, Babyface Ray, and in which Mr. Banks recorded a feature for, could not have been a commercialization of Mr. Banks' alleged murder for hire of SR as the government represented to the grand jury. That is because Mr. Banks recorded the lyrics for Wonderful Wayne 7 months before the incident even happened. The government's misrepresentation in the superseding indictment.
But they were stupid enough when the song came out to add Quando Rondo yelling and hollering before they put the song out. So it still makes them look guilty because you added something to it, and you might not have been talking about what happened with Lil Pop, but you still added on to it when you added the background or the news footage of Quando Rondo screaming the words "no" when his friend was brutally killed in front of him. So, bro, y'all basically were asking for it.
Whether knowing or reckless, undermines the integrity of the grand jury's true bill against Mr. Banks.
And this is another thing I want to ask y'all. Do y'all believe that Durk probably knew what was going to happen? Because, he started changing his life up. He changed his faith. He started the politicians, the mayors, and things of that nature. And I just feel like Durk seen something coming out in the pipeline. He might have knew he had snitches around him.
All done, Sue?
Yep, and not just with your hair. With the help of Xero's small business accounting software,
The court should dismiss the superseding indictment against him as a result. Now, the defense argues that the court has the power to dismiss an indictment that the grand jury returned based on information that the government knew at the time to be or later learned to have been false. Joe, so you got to have a good foundation here, right? Talk to me about that argument, because I guess the counter argument would be, well, in the end, based on the prosecution's allegations, he did exactly there is. Anticipated what was going to happen and did.
I think that if I'm the defense, I'm going to focus on the misrepresentation, assuming there was misrepresentation. Right now, it's a horse of another color. To your second point, if in fact the timing of the lyrics was not important and wasn't presented as such to the grand jury. Grand jury typically has a low standard, right? You just need to show probable cause to show that a crime has taken place, and then you get held over for trial. However, if they made a representation or suggested that those lyrics and that song came out after the murder, and it talked about something in the past tense that had happened, I think that the defense is strong, standing on the foundation, saying you've made a misrepresentation of the evidence, and fundamental.
I mean, it's an uphill battle either way, because just like he explained it, man, he was saying that just because he recorded the song before don't mean that, you know, they had things already in motion, like they thought, like he knew what he was going to do in the future. So that could be one. And then the way the defense is going to run it, like, nah, this song was made before it happened, so it doesn't have any validity as far as the actual connection to what happened to Lil Pop. But if they can find evidence that Lil Durk basically paid for flights, got the people who did whatever they did to Lil Pop there and back to Chicago, that could be a problem for Lil Durk.
This thing is sitting on a shaky foundation, and it can't go forward based on the presentation that you've made.
Let me ask you that. If there is even one piece of evidence that's presented to a grand jury that's problematic, does that mean the indictment has to be thrown out? Could the court look at that and say, listen, we don't know if that was the reason the grand jury returned their indictment. It might have been a small piece, but what about all the other evidence they presented? Or is the argument, if you presented one piece of evidence that either was, intentionally or recklessly shown, that was presented, that turned out to be false or inaccurate, is there grounds to throw it out?
That's a good question. The standard is low, right? And so the prosecution is not necessarily going to be penalized for every small error or for every imperfection, as it were. Okay, so perhaps it could still survive with the judge saying, well, we don't know if that's the actual reason that they did it. However, the problem that they have here is he apparently was central because this superseding indictment makes him a defendant, and before he wasn't a defendant. He's graduated from not being a defendant to being a defendant. So how is it that this particular piece of evidence isn't key and isn't fundamental? And so, of course, if I'm the defense, that's what I would be saying.
By the way, I didn't mention this. There's a First Amendment argument here, right? That this violates the First Amendment. Can you talk about that?
Right, for sure. I mean, I'm expressing myself. I can say the things that I want to say in a rap record or any kind of record. And you could go back and there's country records and there are pop records and there are R&B records that talk about all kinds of things. It's just that there's this notion that with hip hop, quote, glorifying violence, that suddenly now we're going to use these things to prosecute them. But does that mean that the free speech, the First Amendment has gone away? No, absolutely not. He can absolutely rap about what he wants to rap about, and that doesn't mean just because.
That's why a lot of y'all rappers, y'all need to change y'all content that y'all rapping about. Even if you're gonna rap about it, it's a certain way how to rap about these type of things. So being that you're in the public eye spotlight, hey, excuse me, things of that nature, you need to uphold a standard of lyrical capabilities that won't lead you to a case like this, dealing with Durk.
The story is violent. Just because a Tupac story is violent, just because a Biggie Smalls story is violent, that doesn't mean that ought to be used to in turn put together the cause to actually criminally prosecute someone, because there is still free speech.
Now the counter argument would be, it's a statement that, is relevant, it's on point with the actual issue of the case. How can we not be able to use it same way, if somebody does an interview? I'm talking about the Karen Reed case, right? She does an interview, yes, it's a media interview, but technically can be used against you. What you say can be used against you. Let me ask you this, though, about it. If the government was wrong.
If y'all know who the Karen Reed case is, I don't know about that one, Karen Reed. If y'all know about the Karen Reed case, get in the comment section and let me know.
Okay, if the government didn't realize the time frame of it, or even now, they suggest that, it was a problem, we shouldn't have included it. How could they make that mistake, assuming it was a mistake or an error in some fashion? I mean, doesn't that show a potential weakness in the prosecution? I'm not saying that's what they're arguing. I'm not saying that's where this is going to go. But if you take the defense's argument as true, that would be a big slip up for the prosecution, no?
Yeah, and I'll go out on a limb and say that sometimes prosecutors don't necessarily understand hip hop culture. It's almost like a text without context. So you got to really understand the time, the place, the audience. Sometimes they might speak in ways that seem direct to somebody that's outside of the culture, but doesn't necessarily, but can mean several things to someone inside the culture. So it would certainly be a flub, big time, right? But it wouldn't be the first time that such a thing has happened where somebody looking through the window, particularly of hip hop culture, doesn't understand what's being said other than their desired use of it, right? And so maybe that's a situation. It shouldn't be. Listen, there's got to be a prosecutor back there that's got the context that knows what's going on in the street. They prosecute folks that are in hip hop culture that aren't necessarily rappers. They prosecute folks that are, accused of being drug dealers, this or that and the other, in gangs or whatever it may be. And as part of that is understanding the language, understanding what someone means when they say something, understanding manner and timing and all those other things. That's part of their job. The mob speaks in a certain language too. In order to successfully prosecute him, you got to understand the language. So there might be reasons for them screwing that up, but there wouldn't be excuses.
So the defense motion continues, actually. I want to get more into it. It says, quote, the indictment's assertion about Mr. Banks' lyrics, their time and meaning is false. When Banks wrote the cited lyrics, Ed's killing was still 7 months in the future. For Banks to have been...
The craziest thing though, y'all, when Dirk came out with that All My Life, it's like, the song is so eerie. All My Life, he won a Grammy for it, for I think the most motivational song or something like that, the most positive song of the year and all that. So Dirk definitely was trying to turn a different page over in his life. So it's just crazy that, all this stuff came up to catch up with him. And I think he thought he got free when King Von had got taken out of here. But I don't think, it caught back up with them. They got Dirk, they got Brick Baby, Loose Cannon, Diddy. They got a lot of folks, man.
Writing about SR would thus have been impossible. The only open question is how such patently false information came
Big U
to be within the grand jury's purview to begin with. One answer is that the prosecutors who prepared and presented the government's evidence knew that the evidence was false. Another is that the prosecutor who presented the evidence did not know it to be false, but the witness who conveyed it did. And the third answer is that the evidence was obtained and presented with reckless disregard for patent falsity.
Basically, they saying that it could be three different things. So it could basically be three different instances of why, they brought these charges up on Lil Durk. But two things can be right at the same time, and fucking with people like Kendrick and Eminem and them, the way they entendres be, shit, 3 or 4 things can be the truth at one time.
As explained further below, regardless of the answer, dismissal is warranted. And actually brings now
let's just hope the prosecution ain't got bars like Kendrick or Eminem. So, this shit might not stick for them.
Defense to their next argument to the judge, which is, quote, if the court is uncertain whether the false information presented to the grand jury requires dismissal, the court should order the government to produce the transcripts and evidence from the... We'll get into this argument a little...
Have you ever
Hold on,
felt
y'all. I ain't got premium yet.
like the thoughts and feelings?
I probably
A
ain't.
little bit more, but generally speaking, I know under the federal rules, a court may authorize disclosure of grand jury matters if the defense asks pursuant to a motion to dismiss. I just wonder, how often is that request successful? Grand jury material is secret, generally speaking, right?
Right, it generally is, and you want to preserve the integrity of the grand jury, but it's almost, grand jury's it's kind of like this secret thing, and we go and we're not telling you what we're mixing up and what we're putting together, but, we produce an indictment, right? I would argue that this particular notion, this particular set of circumstances would justify revealing the information from the grand jury transcript because it's directly on point to the presentation that the prosecution made in order to get the indictment. And so it is unusual because you want to preserve the integrity of grand jury proceedings. Grand juries are carried out a certain way for a certain reason.
They do it all together, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it might have not had all the factual pieces of evidence. It could have been that, like they said, it could have been somebody that was telling that was lying, or just wanted to lump him into, like Big U said, he'll lump me in with all these other dudes. So yeah.
But that being said, in a situation like this, where you could potentially have something go on that's demonstrably false, and you actually make it from an indictment based on
That's what he's
false information that may.
That's what he's saying. He's saying that, man, all this shit might just be rap music this man talking about, and y'all about to throw his life away over some rap music.
Been presented falsely, maybe knowingly, and certainly recklessly at least. I think you need to know about it.
Now, let me continue with the defense's argument here, Joe. So they say, quote, "The problem with these productions, however, is that Mr. Banks did not create these videos, and the government has failed to show any nexus between these manufactured video clips and Mr. Banks. These videos were not created nor